there's an interesting phenomenon with price and value that I was thinking about today. And this morning I woke up thinking everyone should at least have one time in their life where they spend $300 on a meal. And many people are like, that's a waste. I'm like, is it? Or are you just continually wasting small amounts of money, not fully appreciating your food? Because when I was in Poland this spring, I made videos earlier, but when I was in Poland this spring, my friend took me out to a very, very fancy restaurant, and I literally ate the slowest I've ever eaten and tried to appreciate every single bit of food and bite I took to, like, I don't know, get my money's worth from it, if you want to put it that way. But it's like, when you spend so much money on a meal, you eat it slowly, you appreciate it more, you're not thinking about other stuff. It's like kind of a meditation in itself, where you force yourself to appreciate the food because you pay for it. There's a similar phenomenon which happens when you hunt or fish for your own stuff, or you harvest your own vegetables, where you appreciate it more because of the energy that you put into it. And then on the way back from New Hampshire today, I was filling up my gas tank and I vacuumed up my car, and I was remarking to myself how investing in your own car and doing the labor yourself actually makes me appreciate driving it more and increases my enjoyment of it. So by putting time into it, by keeping it up, by keeping it nice and clean on the inside, I get more satisfaction out of using the car than I otherwise would. And it posed the dilemma, I can't say that word right now. Dilemma. I don't know. I'm sure you guys have been able to guess what I'm trying to say. But anyways, I was thinking about that. I'm like, well, there is two sides to that, because on one hand, you can spend money and get it cheaper, save time, save money, and maybe still get the same outcome from it, but not really. On the other hand, you can invest the time, invest the money, and get more satisfaction from it. You just have to be careful that you're not so caught up in investing your own time and your own energy that you leave no room for investment into your future or the betterment of yourself. So, an example of that would be, this is something I'm struggling with. An example of that would be like moving out and just living off the land completely. I'm sure you'd get more satisfaction from it and enjoyment from the food you ate and the house you lived in and the fire and everything. But on the other hand, you're not exactly improving your financial situation in the world or improving like your family's ability to have a good lifestyle, because there are situations in which money is required for medical purposes, for even traveling, which is something I love to do. And if I only stayed in the same spot and grew up on like 50 years, I don't know, 100, 200 years ago on some small farm, I wouldn't have been able to do because of the lack of money. And in societies like that, there's not a lot of money because most of the stuff is grown, made, traded for, bargained between people. And it's something I've thought about is, would I be happier if I just went and survived in the woods on some land? But then you also have to think about, well, the government's done their fair share to make sure you can't really do that by implementing taxes. So no matter what you do, you have to at least interact or produce value and then sell that for money so that you can then pay the government. Because if you don't do this, they're going to steal the land that you bought from you. And they'll call you the villain for this whole thing. But it's a thought I've had of, growing a business, doing all the things I do, all the work I do, going to school, and thinking, would I be happier if I just said F it to all of it and went and lived out in the woods? And I don't honestly know. I mean, I'm sure there's a stage in my life which I'll do that, but it's kind of like the idea of building systems and enough wealth that when I choose to be done with that lifestyle or to move on to the next stage, I can do so, and you don't necessarily wind up getting stuck there and having to continue that lifestyle even though it's no longer your desire to continue that lifestyle. But all this, I can go with conundrum, which is not the word I was originally trying to say, but it's the conundrum between having time, like, the more time you invest, the more energy you invest, the more you're most likely going to appreciate it, which is why home-cooked meals almost always taste better. It's why making something yourself and using it gives you more of a satisfaction. But on the other hand, you have to balance it with, well, how much could I buy this at Walmart for? How much could I buy this at Home Depot for? Because sometimes it's just not practical to always be making things yourself. And if you tried to do so, you would run out of time and you'd run out of money, and then the government would come along and take your land. So, I mean, there's a reason why trades and specializations came about. And it's because focusing and mastery upon one task is, yeah, it's better than being a jack of all trades, because the jack of all trades, master of none, you don't really see those around. And if that was the superior way of living, the superior method of being, then they would have been the dominant people. But what you see is hyper-specialized people. There's a lot of birds flying around now. You see hyper-specialized people, engineers, tradesmen, craftsmen, cooks, and that's the way society has gone. You know, I'm not saying you shouldn't be well-rounded in the ways of the world, but specialized in your craft. Because someone who is naive of the world will find it much more difficult to operate within it. So with that being said, peace out.